AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio.
Let's ride! Oh!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
Chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Yes, and Mr. Toby Tom Play. For the first time in nearly 2 weeks, we're all here. Glad you are as well. Get out there, make it a good one. Shea Dixon in 15 minutes. LSU offensive tackle Ori Williams in 1 hour. Lyle Collins will be here in hour 3. A ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Well, in less than 1 week's time, we will be at SEC Football Media Days in Atlanta, GA, and today, Tuesday, the Southeastern Conference did release the official attendees list. I always kind of go back and forth on this, wondering, how much do you actually care? And I really am not sure the answer to that. I know we've gone to SEC Media Days as a station every year since 2012, and we really enjoy bringing you that content. It is 4 days of nothing but a deluge, an avalanche of SEC football talk across our airwaves for 4 straight days in July, which is pretty awesome. And that is sort of the onset of summer, or the onset of football season, because after media days, of course, the Saints report to camp on the 23rd. A week after that, LSU will report to fall camp, and then we are in it, y'all. So it was interesting to see the official attendees list, and I'll give you the caveat and I'll give you my reaction to it. But the caveat that I always mention whenever we do this is I think it is important to remember the reason this event is held. Sometimes coaches will announce why they're bringing a certain player, and they'll say, well, it's a reward, or it's a leadership thing, or a veteran thing, or this guy's stuck with the program. That's not why this event is held. This is SEC Football Media Days. You are asking media from around the conference and the country to come to a specific location. In this instance, it's Atlanta, Georgia, to be able to tell the stories of the conference, saying we're going to bring the coaches and the most interesting players from around the conference all to be here to tell their stories. That's the purpose of this event. And my goodness, if you're a team and you do not bring your quarterback, you are missing the purpose of the event. And I'm going to continue to say that every damn year until the SEC finally says it is mandated, you must bring your quarterback. Because this year, there are 5 schools that are not bringing their quarterbacks. I'll get to that in a second. Let me begin by telling you the LSU players that will be in attendance. I nailed 2.5 out of 3 of them. The 2 ones that were very easy. Garrett Nussmeier obviously was going to be in attendance. And then Whit Weeks is the other one that will be in attendance. That was very obvious. Whit is a great personality. He's a great quote. He is going to be up for a lot of national awards, potentially All-America honors. This is an awesome opportunity to put him on that stage in front of the media of the conference to get to know him. They will love him. They will eat him up. He will be preseason All-SEC, and he's already gotten some preseason All-America honors. And if he goes and has another 120 tackle season with 5.5 sacks, whatever, double-digit TFLs, he'll be in the running for the Butkus and all the stuff that that comes along with being a great player and a great team. So we'll see. The third player that I thought might be was senior wide receiver Aaron Anderson. It was instead senior wide receiver Chris Hilton, who will be the third player representing LSU. And of course, The one difference, Aaron Anderson transferred to LSU from Alabama. Chris Hilton's been here for his entire tenure. He's battled injuries. But when he's been on the field, he has been explosive and awesome. And I really hope he stays healthy this year and has an awesome, explosive season. So those are the three players from LSU. Nussmeier, Whit Weeks, and Chris Hilton Jr. will be the three. LSU takes their turn on Monday. I mentioned 11. These are my takeaways just from the attendees. There are no specialists. That's great. We have seen South Carolina brought their punter. His name Kai Kroger. Wasn't that guy's name? Do you remember? I think it was Kai Kroger.
I don't. It might have been. I don't
think
remember.
that was it.
Do you remember what year? I'll look it up.
Just Google Kai Kroger Media Days. Kai.
KAI. Okay.
I think Kai, and I interviewed him. I think it was the year we were in Nashville, which would have been 2 years ago, so 2023.
23, they did.
There it is.
Kai Kroger.
Hot damn! How about your boy? He's on one, Muse. Right back. You just punch it right in the eye. Bullseye. Yeah, sometimes they bring specialists, which is stupid. I think Georgia brought a punter one year. And sometimes they bring players that stink, and that's stupid too. But I like what LSU's doing. Makes a lot of sense. A pox on Alabama, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, and Texas A&M for not bringing their quarterbacks. Those are the 5 schools with yellow-bellied loser coaches who won't bring a player that people actually want to talk to. You mean to tell me, Kalen DeBose, that it's not interesting to bring Ty Simpson? A guy that's been in that program, that's been around, that's likely going to be your starter. You wouldn't bring Ty Simpson because that's not interesting, replacing Jalen Milroe? How about Kentucky? You know who Kentucky brought? Muse, you remember who the transfer is? Kentucky brings a transfer every year. Do you remember who it is that they got this year?
No.
You know, in the past, we've seen guys like Zach Eats the Banana, who went to Tennessee. Will Levis.
Will Levis.
Who was the guy last year? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Doesn't matter. Anyway, Zach Calzada.
Oh, that's right.
How about that?
They did get Zach Calzada.
Bro, you don't mean to tell me, and isn't Zach Calzada the one that beat Alabama in the game in
A&M.
In Texas A&M years ago?
He is.
You don't mean to tell me Zach Calzada, his career path, now back in the SEC, that wouldn't be an interesting story to tell? Bo Pribula is the projected starting quarterback at Missouri. He was at Penn State. I mean, that's not interesting. Wasn't that the one last year where, he left Penn State during the playoff run because he had to go in the portal? These are interesting stories. I mean, Tennessee, obviously, Nico's not there. And remember what happened. Nico transferred to UCLA, and UCLA's quarterback transferred to Tennessee. Guy's name is Aguilar or Aguilera or something like that. Christina's brother. Look that up. I can't back that up, but I think I have it on good authority. I mean, you don't think, with Texas A&M, no, they're not bringing Reed. You don't think that would be someone that people would want to talk to? It's just stupid. It's stupid. So Alabama, Kentucky, Missouri, Tennessee, and Texas A&M, you're stupid. You're 5 yellow-bellied loser coaches who are bringing players that nobody wants to talk to, so you're all stupid. Annoys me. All right, Muse, it's time for one of our favorite segments of the year. You know what it is. Hit the music. Here we go.
Joey Aguilar, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. That's Christina's brother.
Well, Aguilar, not Aguilera.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Christina's brother.
Different name entirely.
No, I'm talking about Christina Aguilar.
I don't know who that is.
That's Joey's sister.
Oh, that's Joey's sister. Okay.
This Muse, when you sit in this chair, you know these things.
Yeah.
You know the siblings of transfer quarterbacks from UCLA to Tennessee.
Dude, if this guy actually had a sister named Christina, I'd lose my mind.
We are a big Joey Aguilar show.
No, we're
Been
not.
a fan of Joey Aguilar for a long time.
Haven't.
Known him since he was a wee pup. A wee Bruin cub. All right. Here we go. This is a little game we like to call Name That School. Woo! All right, let's try that again. Here we go. Open your mics, both of you. Here we go. This is a little game we like to call Name That School. All right, I'm going to name the... Yeah, that's the spirit. I tell you what, Muse. Give it an hour and 10 minutes, and Muse will be a lot lower key than that. Here we go. Everybody knows the game. I'm going to name the SEC Media Days attendee, And Muse here has to tell us what school he attends. Pretty simple, right?
Pretty simple.
Okay.
You would think.
We're gonna put one on a T for you to start, Muse.
All right.
Okay, this is easy. I'm not joking. Diego Pavia.
At Vanderbilt.
There it is. Give yourself a tie. Muse is 1-0. Here we go. How about this, Muse? I'll give you Caleb Banks.
Okay. Caleb Banks.
I'm not feeling great about your odds here, Muse.
Probably not.
That's
but,
one you probably should have known. Like right off.
Really? I should have known Caleb Banks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He had a really good game against LSU a year ago.
I'm gonna go.
You're gonna guess is what you're doing.
Well, Caleb Banks to me sounds like a South Carolina game.
No, he is a defensive lineman from Florida who wrecked LSU a year ago. Yes,
Yeah.
I am not in any way confident for you getting any other ones other than the quarterbacks. Let me see if I can find one you'll know for sure.
You thought I was going to do well with Caleb Banks there.
Well, I mean, when I told you and reminded you Caleb Banks, like that sounds like a pretty obvious
yeah.
one. Yeah, I mean,
I've tried to erase every memory of that game.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, how about DQ Smith, Dairy Queen Smith?
Dairy Queen Smith.
That's on the birth certificate, by the way.
Okay.
Big DQ Smith fan. Big DQ Smith show.
We're gonna go former SEC East. We're going to say DQ. What was his last name? Smith? We're going to say DQ Smith plays for Kentucky.
No, he does not.
Dang
he
it.
plays for South Carolina.
No.
I tell you, you were close to it. All right, let's see if we get you. Here's one to get your confidence back, Muse. Okay?
All right.
Gunnar Stockton.
Yeah, Gunnar Stockton, Georgia.
Yeah, okay, let's go. So I'm confident that Muse knows the quarterbacks in the SEC.
Yes.
And little else. How about Jordan Lovett? Jordan Lovett will be in attendance at SEC Media Days. Jordan Lovett, Muse.
Ole Miss.
No. Jordan Lovett attends Kentucky.
Oh, gosh, come on. I'm one behind. I'm confident this next one's going to be an Ole Miss Rebel now.
All right. Muse, let's do a couple more. How about if we go with Caden Lee. Caden with a C, by the way.
Now, I actually do know this because I mentioned him on the show last week when I was filling in for you. He does go to Ole Miss.
I was setting you up for one, Muse.
Yeah.
You found the path.
Yeah.
That's what you found there. Okay. One more, Muse. Let's see if how we can finish maybe with a bang. Ooh.
Oh, no.
I'm just going with a name that I really want to say.
Okay.
We can get Sharif in here.
I was just about to say, do we have to call Sharif?
I got to make it count. No, not him.
You might have burned the name already with DQ Smith. I mean, that's
Dairy Queen Smith.
That's solid, man.
If I get to interview DQ Smith next week, and I will ask him for sure about Dairy Queen. That'd make the week for me.
That'd be awesome. Clip it,
Okay.
social media, all of it.
Armaj Reed Adams.
What?
AR''MAJ. Armaj Reed Adams. Hyphenated last name.
That guy plays in the SEC.
Yes. Armaj Reed Adams.
Mississippi State.
No, Muse. He goes to Texas A&M. And once again proving why SEC Media Days attendees should not be selected by the coaches. They should be selected by me. Let me go through the 16 rosters and pick the 3 most interesting players from each damn roster and bring them to SEC Media Days so we don't have to pretend to know who Miles Kitselman is or why we would care about Connor Tollison, a graduate center from Missouri. Bring your quarterbacks, idiot coaches. It's AFR. Shea Dixon's next.
After further review,
We're brought to you by Action Industries. Action Industries, a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Great industrial contractor right here in the greater Baton Rouge area with 2 physical locations. Of course, they're in Geismar right there on 73 as you're going south. I love telling you about Action Industries because it's been such a pleasure to get to know the people behind Action Industries and the business that they do. Now, I've learned this. In the years now that I've been able to endorse Action Industries. You don't get hired to do work inside the fence if you don't have an exemplary safety record. Action Industries, their safety record beats the industry standard. That's number one. And number two, when you rely on repeat business, you have to do great work so you get rehired. Well, Action Industries has been around since 1982. It's easy. Just remember Action Industries, Action Industries, Action Industries. And, of course, they are a proud partner of LSU Athletics. Turnaround season's here, y'all. Action Industries.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Fired up to have you with us here. LSU offensive lineman Ori Williams in about 42 minutes at the start of hour 2. Every Tuesday, we visit with Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger, talk about the biggest topics in recruiting world as it pertains to LSU. Boy, there's a lot of them today. Shea D, how are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you, Matt?
Doing great. Tigers popped a couple of commits on the 4th of July. Missed out on a couple of targets as well. Any reaction or big surprise from the weekend?
You know, the notable one would be on, this past week, landing first the wave of Trenton Henderson, that top 100 group. But on the 4th of July, Isaiah Washington coming out of Haynesville gives them a safety. And obviously, they've got Dylan Purter, a coverage safety, top 150 kid out of Bama. They've got Aiden Hall out of New Orleans, who's been a top 10 safety. And then, coming out of a school like Haynesville, even when you have a great year like Isaiah Washington did, kind of as a pure athlete, you can fly a little bit under the radar. But after the state track meet over at Bernie Moore, boy, I think he put up enough to where every school came calling there. And ultimately, LSU wins out. So got Washington and then got back into Mississippi again, which has become a theme here. And land Bryson Cooley, another Pine Belt player coming out of Laurel. Remember, a year ago, they signed a 4-star and the top offensive lineman in Mississippi in Tyler Miller out of Laurel. And now they double back around, and they've got the number 1 and 2 offensive linemen out of Mississippi with Emmanuel Tucker out of New Albany, which is kind of Ole Miss territory, and then Cooley coming out of South Mississippi. So really good O-line class being put together right now. That is not a shock, obviously, for those who follow recruiting. Brad Davis and staff have done a really bang-up job from that time that he was the only person kept. Stafford kept on field from when Orgeron was the coach into Brian Kelly, and they have done nothing but continue to roll off 5- and 4-star high-profile prospects. So another big one there. They've kind of stuck in the top 5. So, I mean, I think 800 kids committed on July 4th, Matt. So, there's all kinds of jumping in the rankings. But the reality is they've shuffled around the top 5 and are kind of sitting pretty good here as, wait another wave of decisions this week.
I want to talk about those in a second, Shay, but there's one guy they missed on that was interesting. It was J.J. Bush, the linebacker from Alabama. I think it's pretty clear what happened there at the end. Look, a school like Arkansas probably has committed more of its revenue share to Bush. It would make sense for a lot of guys that do this. My question more so, Shay, is Tigers don't have a linebacker committed yet in this year's class. Missing on Bush, where do they turn next?
I think that they'll either wait and see. Like Baker can watch kids as seniors and say, all right, look, this happens all the time at a lot of positions. Hey, this kid's blown up. Senior year is your sort of most indicative as to how you were going to progress as a college player. And they could see a guy out there that they've been on and say, hey, look, we should turn up the heat here. He looks good. We saw that this past cycle a year ago. Jaden Breaker late in the process really blew up, and he ends up being a guy that's a top 100 player by the end of the process. So I'm not ruling out them taking one. I also know, which is a good thing, is that they feel good about the depth. And I think you could look at it and say, hey, look, all right, great. You've got the Weeks. There's 3 of them. You got Harold Perkins, but you've also got this crew of Tylen Singleton. We saw Devon Keys starting in the bowl game. They've got, for the first time, you can go too deep, beyond just the second team into a third team and some 4 team guys. So I think in this era where you're balancing how many guys do we take out of high school, the portal, and then however much we stack up there, Matt, it's like, does that scare someone into the portal or push them into the portal from our team that we would prefer to stay on the team and we just develop them? So it wouldn't shock me if they didn't sign one. But again, if they end up finding one they like, then that would be an addition they would take. But I will say, had J.J. Bush stuck with LSU, announced for LSU, all of that, they were not going to take another linebacker. So the sort of goal was just one, which speaks to them liking what they have on campus.
Yeah. They signed 5 in the most recent cycle. So the numbers are good.
Right.
You could look into 2026 and go, okay, well, what about the experience depth? But cross that bridge when they get there. Okay, Shea, 3 players set to announce on Thursday. The headliner among them, of course, is Lamar Brown, someone we've taught. Everybody knows the story. Talked about him forever. With 48 hours here as we sit, where do things stand?
I mean, I haven't changed my pick off of LSU, which I put on. I don't think, were they his first offer? I mean, it was a long time ago, but I've always thought that LSU was the team to beat. They are the team to beat, and I always thought it was going to be A&M as the competition. And he's got a Final Four that includes also Texas and Miami. He made official visits to them all, but this is an LSU or A&M decision. And like that, I'd be fooling you if I told you I know where he's going. And I don't even know if both schools feel very confident for sure about where this is going. But whether it's how long they've recruited him, whether it's the effort they've put in, the pitch they've made, the rolling out of the red carpet, NIL, there's nothing LSU's going to come up short on, which ultimately means that it's Lamar's decision. Is it I'm staying home or is it I'm going to commit to A&M? And look, the recruiting expert in me, I wish I could give you an answer, but if he stays home, are we shocked, Matt? No, not at all. If he doesn't, are we shocked? No. We name a school out there where you'd say, man, sometimes those kids just don't go to LSU. It'd be U High, the one school where it's on LSU's campus, and the kids say, look, this is just where I went forever, and I kind of got enamored by another program, and I want to get away from home.
All right, we're going to see if we can. I don't know. Shea went into robot mode there for a second. We'll reconnect. So, it's talking about Lamar Brown, who will announce on Thursday. It's a giant. Well, there's 2 other players, 2 edge players for 2026 that are set to announce as well. All right, Shea, we got, I think, everything we're saying there with Lamar. The 2 other players that are going to announce on Thursday are a couple of edge rushers, DeAnthony Lafayette and Jamarian Carlton. Give us, if you would, the thumbnail view of both those guys.
Yeah, if anyone cut out there, my clip notes is I won't be shocked if Lamar goes to LSU or if he goes to A&M. There's my expert opinion.
Got it. We come to you for the hard-hitting opinion, Shea.
I'm glad I could be here for this. Yeah, there'll be 3 guys, D linemen, DNs, edges, who announced Thursday with LSU hats on the table. I feel the best about DeAnthony Lafayette. I put a pick in. He's a kid coming out of Lake Nona in Florida who, right after Vandy, Kevin Peoples and Baker offered him, and he had not been a highly touted recruit at that point, but he had a just unbelievable year stat-wise. And then once they got out to see him in person, it was like, okay, he's 6'5", 6'1", but long arms, can cover, can play that stand-up outside linebacker kind of edge spot. And they've continued to recruit him, brought him in on visits. And Miami will have a hat on the table. Oklahoma's really pressing. But as long as anything doesn't go wildly crazy in the next 48 hours, I do think that you add one more to the list there with him and Lafayette coming out of Florida, not coming out of Lafayette, but at least it rings true that he would maybe end up at LSU. And the other is Carlton, who I'd best describe this, Matt, to the sort of in layman's term for recruiting fans. They were after 2 big out-of-state edge rushers, and I think they even hosted them on the same weekend. But it was Trenton Henderson, and it was Jamarian Carlton. Henderson coming out of Pensacola, and Carlton coming out of Temple in Texas. And they've already gotten Trenton Henderson committed. So top 100 guy, you beat out Florida for him. Can you strike magic twice? I mean, maybe. I definitely think they're in this, but from the start, a lot of people thought he would stay close to home, and his house is about a 20-something minute drive from Waco. So despite Texas, LSU, Texas Tech coming in, and for those who don't follow recruiting, they've been making major NIL waves in the past couple of weeks. A&M, all these schools being involved, it won't surprise anyone if Baylor's the choice, and he sort of becomes the jewel of the class and stays home.
A big 4-star, number 44 nationally in the On3 composite, speaking of Jamari and Carlton. Shea Dixon's with us on 3, the Bengal Tiger. A couple more for you, Shea. I did want to ask about Kelvin Bolden, who LSU's bringing in from Ole Miss. It's the second staffer now, Jai Shuderi, who's come in from Ole Miss, who worked with Austin Thomas there at in Oxford before Austin came here. Do you know what role Bolden's going to – and we know the title as the assistant general manager, but do you know what role he's going to play in sort of the significance of this hire?
And I think it's sort of as you build out, if you want to call it the modernization, right, of college football. All these teams have hired GMs. Well, Austin Thomas is back and has been directing that, and they saw a handful of staff members get other jobs in the NFL or other colleges this offseason. So they've had to make some hires, and this was the first one. And I think it's going to be a blend, Matt, and this is kind of required now. You've kind of got to be a bit of a renaissance man. You have to be into the knowledge of NIL and how it works and having those discussions. You have to be able to recruit. You have to understand roster structure. And all of those things are things that, from speaking to folks who worked around him, say that, hey, look, he can check all those boxes. And I'll say this. I tweeted last night that news, and I guess Twitter doesn't let you see people's likes anymore or whatever, but I can at least tell you that up and down the list was about every high school coach in Mississippi. Like, this is someone who played at Southern Miss, who went to Ocean Springs, who played at Gulf Coast before he went to Southern Miss, and now has been at Ole Miss. So a guy with a lot of experience in Mississippi, and then recruiting the Southeast, been a part of Ole Miss staff for a couple of years now, was hired by Austin Thomas at Ole Miss, and previously worked for Gus Malzahn at UCF. So he's been out of the state before. He'd also worked at Florida. But I think it's a little bit of everything, and that's what we'll see here kind of moving forward as they build out kind of that personnel department beyond just the recruiting or personnel side that deals with the team, is these guys and girls, whomever it might be, that have an understanding of everything that goes into college football recruiting and building a roster right now.
Of course, you can get him on Twitter at Shea Dixon. That's where Shea shared that news on Monday evening. Hey, before you go, after Thursday, which is the day we're going to be looking for the 3 prospects that will have LSU hats on the table, anybody we're keeping an eye on who would be sort of next in the queue? Yeah,
look, I mean, they're not going to take a massive class, and I think they'll get above 20. But, remember back in the day, we would always say 25, right? I think they'll end up with 20 to 25, let's say. That would leave, 6 guys left if they end up getting Lamar Brown and end up getting DeAnthony Lafayette. And one I'd put firmly at the top is Jace Matthews out of Mississippi, and we've got him ranked as a top 3 receiver. I know our rankings are about to be updated soon. He is neck and neck battling Tristan Keys, another receiver out of Mississippi who's committed to LSU, for best receiver in the country. And I don't think he's staying in Mississippi. It'll be LSU or Auburn. It might be A&M, but LSU really surged there. So, I mean, we could be talking about a really marquee recruiting class that would match that old, Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Hilton, Jack Besh, all those guys that signed at the same time together. So keep an eye on that. They'll stay on D lineman. Deuce Gerald, whose dad's from Scotlandville, played for Frank Wilson at Ole Miss. He's a top 100 player. A 5-star lineman, Darius Gray, who could play center or guard, but number 1 interior lineman in the country, Matt. Wolfong and all of our national teams still have LSU as the team to beat, and you look at what they've done recently there. Carius Kern, if you get Darius Gray this year, I think 2 years ago, who am I missing? There was another, but it would be a run.
Lance Hurd, Will Campbell. I mean, they've signed Weston Davis.
Yeah,
they've signed a 5-star in every class.
No doubt, and I think they've signed a top 2 interior lineman if they could land Darius Gray in 3 straight classes. So they've done so well recruiting on the O-line. But
Cohen Eccles?
Kind of, yes, right. So those are some names I would kind of continue to keep an eye on. But, boy, no doubt, this is Lamar Brown week, who I just saw is going to be announcing on ESPN2.
Okay.
Jared had written up. So let's see, there's a shuffle 12-15 now at U High, and looks like the plan as of now is a nationally televised audience.
Can you imagine the air out of the balloon if he puts on a maroon hat? Oh my God.
Yeah. Rest in peace.
Joe
One of the
McKnight.
best players I've ever seen.
Yep.
But yeah, boy, Charles Handicraft couldn't do anything after that moment to rally the troops.
Yeah.
So
The Joe McKnight one was the worst. But Shea, I always say the thing about a guy like Joe McKnight, you go to USC, you're never going to see him. The worst is when Devontae Smith goes to Alabama, right? Jakeem Stewart going
100%.
to SC, okay, never see you again. But Lamar Brown to A&M would sting. We'll see. We'll know on Thursday. You find all the info over at On3. By the way, y'all, did I say that Shannon Terry bought back Rivals? Is that what happened?
full circle moment for
How about
him.
that, man?
Started it, sold it to Yahoo way back in the day, and bought it back. So, right now kind of going through all that integration, but I'll give him the crown. The man started Rivals 24/7 on 3, bought Scout, bought Rivals back. So for a guy who grew up with parents on a farm in North Alabama, he's figured out this modern recruiting era of the internet.
Yes, there is no one more significant in the history of the recruiting world than Shannon Terry. It's amazing. Shea,
And he doesn't know where Lamar Brown's going either. So let's be we're all in the dark.
I nailed the dismount. Thank you, Shea.
Bye, Matt.
All right, we'll see you. Shea Dixon on 3, the Bengal Tiger. Around the SEC next.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. What you got going on? Just hanging out in your outdoor spaces. You want to beautify them? Clegg's Nursery can help. Maybe it's good to exercise. Get out in the garden, just plant something. You don't want super strenuous exercise. I mean, gardening is great. Also, grounding, like getting your hands in the dirt, discharging into the earth. It's great for your health, your overall mental state, well-being, and you're beautifying your outdoor spaces. And there's no place better than Clegg's Nursery. Any of the 4 locations, Siegen near Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you all the time to buy local and shop local. They're awesome. And you walk into Clegg's and you got a question. If you're like me, you're not a green thumb, but you want to beautify your outdoor spaces. You got questions, just find someone in a blue Clegg's shirt. They'll have all the answers for you. And they got all the things you need to keep the pests away. It's Clegg Nursery. Clegg's Nursery.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Plowing these fields in the hot summer sun.
5'11" is fair. We want to earn it on the field. It might not be the best solution today for the Big 12, given your comments about AQs. But long term, knowing the progress we're making, the investments we're making, it's the right format for us.
That's Brett Yormark at Big 12 Media Days, which is going down right now. The Big 12, God bless you. They the SEC always sort of did the honors of pushing out from the dock in the talking season here around Media Days. And the Big 12 decided, I know what we're going to do. Since you took Texas and Oklahoma, we're jumping ahead of you and doing it a week earlier in July. That'll show them. And nobody really shows up to Big 12 Media Days because it's Big 12 Media Days. But in any event, so they're sort of shouting into a vacuum right now. But we're paying attention because it's our job. So Brett Yormark talked about the 5'11". Remember, the SEC has been pretty adamant that they want the 4-4 model, the 4 auto bids in the playoff for the SEC and for the Big Ten. So the 4-4, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 2-2, 2-1, repeating, whatever the stupid numbers are. The only thing that really matters is that the SEC and the Big Ten would each get 4 guaranteed bids. But there's Yormark stumping for 5'11". You know how this is going to go, right? Whatever the SEC and the Big Ten say they want is what's going to happen. If the SEC and the Big Ten say they want the 4-4, 2 times pi to the third, whatever that thing is, where the SEC and the Big Ten get 4 auto bids, like that's what's going to happen. So, Brett Yormark, I mean, respect for the fact that you've saved this league despite losing Texas and Oklahoma. That really is remarkable. That's a remarkable job that he's done. But nobody cares what you want. It's just not going to happen that way. Speaking of other things noteworthy at Big 12 Media Days, Joey McGuire. How many people in this audience do you think know who that is? Ballpark it for me.
I will say 5%.
Twitter poll it.
Okay.
Twitter poll it. Do you know who Joey McGuire is? Well, because if you say that, people could say yes, but they really don't know.
That's true.
Put in there like parenthetically, be honest.
Okay.
Be honest. Do you know who Joey Maguire is? And if you, I was saying if you do put the name in the comments, if people see the name in the comments and say yes. Anyway, just let's see how it turns out. Joey Maguire is the head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders, and as we've all learned, they have real legitimate oil money because man, they're out here spending millies on softball pitchers because why not? You got a rich guy that wants to be good at softball? Cool. Here's a milli for a softball pitcher. You still don't win a natty. Whatever. Anyway, Joey Maguire was on stage sitting right next to Kalani Sitake. There were a handful of Big 12 coaches here on the stage. Matt Barry from ESPN's there. And he was asked about future scheduling, and he mentioned your Fighting Tigers of LSU.
And then Kalani brought it up. I mean, let's decide it on the field. You know, if we're sitting here talking about the playoffs, if you win the conference champion, you should be in the playoff. And then it's one of the deals, I know you said it a couple years ago, to where we all of a sudden now have cross-conference games that we're playing each other. I think that'd be a great way to do it. You know, I saw Brian Kelly say he'd love to play a Big 10 team. Hey, man, I would love to play LSU, you know, home and home series. And whoever plays that, then, you know, we look at the rankings and everything like that.
If Brian Kelly issued the challenge to the Big Ten, there's Joey Maguire stepping up saying, we'd love to play LSU. I mean, I bet you would. They would love for anything to latch on to that would scream relevance. Just if you look at feasibility, of course, LSU plays Clemson in 25 and 26. They play Houston, which, remember, Houston's now in the Big 12, so that is a Power 5 game in 27. That's the game at NRG in Houston. They'll play SMU with a home in 28 and 29. You've also got Arizona State on the schedule in 29. So you've got at SMU and Arizona State in 29. 30, you've got Arizona State. 31 and 32, you've got Utah home and home. So it's unlikely that happens until at least 2033. And if Brian Kelly's idea of an SEC Big Ten challenge comes to fruition, that's, especially if the SEC expands to a 9-game league schedule, you're playing 9 league games, then your Power 5 non-conference game, there's no space for adding a Big Ten opponent as it stands right now unless you're getting out of all these other contracts. It's going to be messy. That much is certain. We've seen that plenty here in college athletics and college football. But Joey Maguire with the call-out. It's like an old UFC call-out. Who do you want next? I want Brian Kelly and his family. Bring it, loser. We're brought to you by the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020. You want to see 2020? Call 924-2020. Muse, you weren't here yesterday, but I had Alondra gave me the audio sheet, and I put it right here on this wall. And I stood over there, and I read the entire audio sheet. She was amazed. Hey. Paulie, true story?
True story.
True story. Alondra doesn't see too well, apparently.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
I guess she needs contacts or glasses, or maybe she needs LASIK from the Williamson Eye Center. If you're going to have LASIK, go to the Williamson Eye Center. They're the best. Maybe you've been told you're not a candidate for LASIK. Maybe you're not interested in LASIK because that's a laser that changes the shape of your eye. Evo ICL is an alternative to LASIK. ICL is implantable contact lens, where they will implant the lens in your eye, and it is a totally reversible procedure. The bottom line is, no matter your age or refractive issue, ophthalmology has come so far to where they have an option for you. But you got to go sit down with Dr. Blake Williamson, get all those options. It's the Williamson Eye Center. 924-2020, 924-2020, or williamsoneye.com. All right, let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Auburn Tigers.
That time of year, freshman linebacker DJ Barber arrested after a traffic violation, which led to probable cause search. He had drugs in the car. He had THC vapes, scales, packaging for marijuana to sell, a couple of grand in cash, had a handgun as well. All the things that you hate to see in a car when you get pulled over. But talented freshman DJ Barber, he is in some trouble.
The Florida Gators.
Florida landed a commitment from 4-star linebacker Malik Morris, 6'1", 225. He's out of Lakeland, Florida. He's a 4-star linebacker for the class of 2026. Chose the Gators over Miami, Texas A&M, and others. He's the number 17 linebacker in America.
The Ole Miss Rebels.
Ole Miss landed super athlete Jet Goldsberry over finalists like Purdue, Rutgers, North Carolina, West Virginia, Wake Forest. If he was really a super athlete, you're thinking the same thing?
I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, it literally says in the headline, Ole Miss lands super athlete Jet Goldsberry. And yet he's the 6th best player in Indiana.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Purdue, it's a powerhouse,
Yeah.
The Oklahoma Sooners.
Oklahoma got a tight end pledge from Tyler Ruxer. He's out of Indiana as well. That he's better than the 6th best athlete in Indiana. Duke, West Virginia, Minnesota, Purdue, Northwestern. He's the 15th commit to Oklahoma.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Arkansas added a baseball transfer, Damian Ruiz, out of the portal. He was the hitter of the year in the Southland. Flashed 388, 5'11", 607 at Houston Christian this past year. Transferred to Lamar for 2025, Went Houston Christian, Lamar, and now he's headed as the 8th portal commit, to Arkansas. But he is draft eligible, so keep an eye on him.
Texas A&M!
And the Aggies have added Cal State Fullerton infielder Maddox Lata, 5'11", 175, all Big West. He was the defensive player of the year in the league. 53 games, he hit 362. He's the 8th Aggie transfer commit for this class. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. Tuesday shows powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. You want a Deere, you're in Bunkie or below, the one place you're going to get it is at Sunshine. Go to sunequip.com, sunequip.com. All right, let me knock out our final break here of hour number 1. We'll come back. Kiley McDaniel's put out his top 250 for the upcoming MLB Draft. Where do the LSU high school commits land on that? We'll tell you here in just a sec. And Ori Williams, LSU offensive lineman, here in less than 15 minutes. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Of course, Gordon also one of the partners in Court to Table. Shout out the new pickleball concept on Burbank and Baton Rouge. Was there, went twice last week. Food was great. Ambiance was great. They really did a fantastic job. Very, very, very family friendly. Even if you never pick up a pickleball paddle, racket, paddle, pickleball paddle, paddle racket. What do we call it?
Paddle. It's paddle.
Pickleball
paddle.
A pickleball paddle. Anyway, of course, if you're injured playing pickleball, get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorney. Say, look, bottom line is no matter where you are in the state of Louisiana, Gordon has offices all over the state with local attorneys that can help. And as Gordon notes in a lot of his social media content, if you've been injured out of state, they have attorneys that can handle your out-of-state cases as well. So you know what to do. GetGordon.com, getGordon.com. Get Gordon and get it done.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Look at her face. She ain't a fooling me. She thinks my tractor's sexy.
All right, wrapping up hour number 1. LSU offensive tackle Ori Williams in less than 10 minutes from right now. In less than a week, we will have a much better picture of the 2026 LSU baseball roster. The draft, the 2-day MLB draft, starts on Sunday. Incidentally, I've mentioned this before, but a year ago, the draft, which now they've moved out of like a studio in New York to on site. They like the NFL draft has done. They're moving it around. Last year, it was in Fort Worth at some like cattle barn, and we were there for SEC Media Days in Dallas. This year, the MLB draft is in Atlanta while we're in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. Weird coincidence, but so we'll be there in Atlanta. I'm not going to be at the draft Sunday night. I guess I could be. Maybe I could be.
It's a pretty cool experience, probably.
We get to Atlanta, like we leave New Orleans at like 11:30 Sunday morning, so we get to Atlanta at like 1 in the afternoon, 1:30, something like that. I mean, I could get in, check in, drop bags, and find the draft. Probably could do this.
That'd be really, really cool, actually.
And Cade Anderson will be the first pick.
It's gonna be awesome.
Probably going to have some not great news about a couple of LSU signees.
Probably not. Yeah.
Great for them,
but
not great for.
That's tradition.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we just come to expect that these days, right?
Yeah. These days.
Every.
It's always. It's just par for the course. But Kiley McDaniel's top 250 rankings are out. It's got Cade Anderson number 1, no surprise. Ianson number 45, Chase Shores number 68. These are all guys you're anticipating signing. Dickinson at 84, Ethan Fry at 132, Jared Jones at 249. Fry is the one that I expect back. We've said it. Barring something unforeseen, LSU has the NIL rev share piece in place for Ethan Fry, and I do expect he'll be back, and you pencil him in now as your starting left fielder. But we'll see how it all plays out. The more interesting question, I think, for a lot of us is going to be what happens with the signees, the high school signees. I did have, some I've done every year, and a lot of you have asked me about this. I did have a conversation today with what I would consider my best baseball source in the scouting world to run through all of the LSU high school signees and which ones are likely gone, which ones they're expecting will be on campus. So I'll empty my notebook in 20 minutes. So we'll get SportsCenter here, come back, talk to Ori Williams. After Ori Williams, I'll empty my notebook on the LSU baseball commits. I'll tell you everything that I know from the highest level information that I got about these guys and who they expect to be on campus and who's going to end up signing a pro contract. So we'll get to all that here shortly. It is After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Tuesday edition, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Lyle Collins is also going to be with us, former Tiger great, longtime NFL offensive tackle. Lyle will be here in Hour 3. We're looking forward to that. All right, don't you move. Hour 2 is coming up right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com, with locations all over South Louisiana. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they treat you like family, so they'll keep you coming back year after year after year. One thing I always encourage you to do, go to the website, ShawBillsTire.com, hit the promotions tab at the top of the page. When you hit the promotions tab there at the top of the page, you'll see all the deals that they offer. And they do an amazing job of combining the dealer special with their own in-house offer to get you the best price possible. As a matter of fact, they guarantee it. If you buy tires from Shaw Bills, find those tires advertised, the same tire, advertised cheaper somewhere else, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. That's part of the Charlie's Dozen, guaranteeing you the lowest price on tires. It's Shaw Bills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com since 1968. It's Shaw Bills, y'all, where we keep you rolling.